This is Matthew Vaughn taking his Kick-Ass, his Kingsman, mashing it up, and making it PG-13. But does it work? Let's find out. Chase Lehocky here with the Blue Futon reviewing Argylle. So what's this about? You could call it a simple premise, but there's an author. She's like writing the Argylle books and everything is happening. But what do you know? Spies are after her because everything she's writing on the page actually occurred. So what are all these twists and turns going to occur in this film? So before I talk about the film, let's talk about the 4DX of this film. And I don't think it's not bad at all. It's not janky like, the Meg 2 or people were saying Night Swim was absolutely bonkers and a lot of wind, which my theater broke with that. But when it comes to 4DX in this one, it was subtle. Yes, there were some decent movements. I would say there's a lot more of like rocky movements, not a lot of like swing movements. So I think even though this is like Trolls was freaking all over the place. Here, it was good subtle stuff. I was like, okay, I'm enjoying myself. And there were some good like 5, 10, 15-minute pauses. Then you would go back to it. Then another 5, 10, 15-minute pause, and you'd go back to it. Good, fun old stuff. So overall, I do think the 4DX quality of this film is pretty solid. I saw it at 3:35 p.m. There was only 5 people in this movie theater, and that is a little scary for this $200 million budget movie. So when talking about this film, did I like it? I liked it, except the third act. The third act just went so fucking bonkers, like total, like the Golden Circle Kingsman, that I didn't like it whatsoever. But the first 2 acts, I was kind of digging where the movie was trying to go. So when talking about the positives, the acting is pretty fantastic. It is a stacked cast of like Henry Cavill. You have, of course, Sam Rockwell, Bryce Dallas Howard, which she's got some birthing hips, I'll tell you that. Woo! Then we have some Bryan Cranston. We have a lot of people in this film overall. Ariana DeBose, John Cena, stack cast whatsoever, and I have no problem with anyone in this cast. The action. When most of the action is happening on screen, I dug it, except the third act, and we will go to the negatives for that one. I do think the overall story itself is interesting, yet confusing, and I think that's both positive and negative. What is interesting is about this is like based off a 4th book, but they are starting the movie with the 4th book. So I'm curious what book 1, 2, 3 is. This is an author that no one knows their name. Some people guess it's J.K. Rowling, but I doubt that's her. There's other people as well that we don't know who wrote this book. But I just find it very fascinating where it's the 4th book, but this is what the movie's based off of. So even though that's fun, knowing that, I'm just more curious about the first 3 books. And when I say this movie tries to do twists and turns galore, there is twists and turns galore in the movie. And I saw at least one twist coming about who Bryce Dallas Howard is writing about. You kind of get a glimpse of it when there are a little bit of scenes here and there about who she is talking to. And you're like, okay, I understand that angle where it's going. But there's other random just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And then the last oh shit moment. Now that wasn't really okay. Well, there is a last oh shit moment. There's a oh shit moment about a heart that you know what's coming and who that twist is. There's something at the very end before the credits where you're like, wait a minute, what are you trying to go there? And then there's something at the very end after the first set of credits. You're like, huh? I know you're trying to connect it to your other type of films, but now you, I think, are overblowing the twistiness that is just making some people go, wait a minute, calm down, everything will be okay. The editing, I really enjoyed the editing through the chase scenes as well as the train scenes of who they're trying to do as Sam Rockwell. So I really enjoyed that editing, what they try to do with that one. Okay, now let's talk with just the shit that just kind of didn't work for me. Act 3. You know Act 3 by the trailer where you see 2 characters just shooting up a storm with colorful smoke. Yes, that reminds me of Kingsman 1 where people's heads are exploding. Here, it doesn't work at all. It just doesn't work with what happened in Act 1 and 2. I understand that they're trying to make it fun, but it just took me out of the film on all fucking levels. And there's something that happens after that with skating. Again, it took me out because it truly does something completely bonkers, completely that, because the first and second act of the movie, you're like, oh, it's an espionage film with somewhat believable fight sequences. Then it just goes off the fucking rails. And I'm like, okay, time out. What are we trying to do here? And like I said, something happens before the credits where you're like, huh? And then after the credits, you're a double huh. Because if you're trying to connect it to the Kingsmen, let's be fucking blunt, that's what they truly try to do. But if you're connecting it there, there's an actor in this movie that's also in that movie. So that's not possible what you're trying to do there. Because if you're trying to say it's the same fucking universe, it just doesn't work. Because if you're reusing actors in the same film franchises, it just doesn't work in my opinion. And finally, I don't know if it's my movie theater, it's the fucking sound design. You could hear the score perfectly, but sometimes when they're talking during the musical numbers or the score, I couldn't hear some things they were saying. And I know a lot of people are making fun of Henry Cavill's haircut. There is nothing wrong with his haircut. Calm the freak down, people. So overall, Argylle 4DX, if you're seeing this movie and you want to have a decent movement time, 4DX is for you. If you're looking for some good action set pieces in the first and second act, it works for me. Some great acting overall works for me. Some twists and turns are fun, and some were like, oh shit, I really didn't see that one coming, but some of them are kind of noticeable. But then you keep going, twist after twist after twist after twist. You're like, am I supposed to take this shit seriously? And the same thing with Act 3. The action set pieces, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing on screen. It just took me out the freaking film. So Argylle will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futon. So he goes at 60%. I think it's watchable, but disappointment might occur. So let's see the critics' news scores gave this one. So critics were at 35% with 204 of them. Audience score is 69% with 250. Critic consensus. Argylle gets some mileage out of its silly, energetic spin on the spy thriller, but ultimately wears out its welcome with a convoluted plot and overlong runtime. I could say, yeah, the runtime, you did feel it on some scenes. You're like, okay, let's speed up the plot a little bit. But to me, it's just the third act went way overboard, and it felt like it was a completely different film. 35, 69, 60. Chase Leak here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One thanks, Booftopia. You Booftonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Now you can watch this today, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. Every single freaking one of you. Enjoy life. Have fun. And are you at Argylle? I don't even know what the hell that means.